Hello, how are you guys? Hey, Maxie Doodle. Hey, Spicy Sugar. Hey, Corinne. Hey, Pointer Lover. This is impromptu. Maybe, a lot of people may not be here. Maybe they will. I don't know. I just thought we would have some fun kind of going through this together. Ian is on the stand right now. Melanie is most likely going to be next. So I think it's going to get really interesting. How are you guys this morning? Hey, Eddie. Hey, Wuffy. Yeah, let me go ahead and pull it up because he's on there right now and they've already started. So if you guys, yesterday, we're going to live on Jenn Lou's tonight to do like some Lori Vallow catch-up stuff. So I won't play this or anything. Maybe we'll listen to it tonight. But I was listening just before we started while I was watching the live tweets to Lori Vallow's friend on the stand talking about when Lori Vallow threatened to kill her and cut her up and put her in bags and all the things. And she was crying. It was really intense. But like I said, I think I want to save that in case Jenn wants to do it tonight, because we're going to do like a live all things Lori Vallow. This is just a hangout. Let's go through the live tweets together. Oh, yay, Teresa. I'm so glad. Well, I was sitting there kind of watching the tweets by myself, and I'm like, no, we should be doing this together. Hey, Struggle is Real. Okay. So what we've missed so far is kind of crazy already, but I'll go ahead and just read through it like this. This is from Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm also following Nate and Hidden True Crime, and we'll go back and forth between the three. But she says, this is how she started. We should be hearing arguments outside the presence of the jury about the wiretaps coming in. Then Ian Palowski will be back on the stand. Will Melanie be allowed to testify? We will see. Attorneys are in the chambers. Lori will turn her back to the public and face the doorway when her attorneys are not sitting with her. We are back on the record. They held a meeting this morning about the recordings by Ian. We are going to hear arguments now as to what will be introduced. The defense says they asked for Ian to be dismissed, but he was allowed. He testified, to which a defense lawyer would call a snitch, with some secret recordings. Ian identified a couple of issues on the recordings. The cops are possessed. Chad and Lori do not confess to any crime. They want to play a part from December 12th or 13th, a recording with Melanie talking to Chad and Lori. So the defense wanted to play his recordings. And in this recording, this particular one, they were talking about Alex, religious issues, the blessing from Chad, and the state. It says the religious issues are charged by the state as an overt act as part of the conspiracy. They want to play a 50-minute clip. Judge Boyce asked why play it and not cross-examine on the content. Archibald says the recording contains the best evidence, the actual statements, and the defense doesn't believe Ian's summaries of the recordings are fair and accurate. Lindsay Blake she said it's objectionable to refer to Ian as a snitch. She was standing up for him. She says hearsay is an issue and Chad as a co-conspirator is an issue. Religious beliefs are not overt acts charged by the state. And anyways, they're not allowed to play him. They took a recess. During the recess, it says Lori is holding court with her attorneys. They are standing and she is talking to both of them. Judge Boyce is back and rules the recordings are not admissible under hearsay. Ian is brought back to the stand 25 minutes ago and Lori's attorney is questioning him. Now, Nate Eaton said that Lori was very passionately talking with her attorneys during this break. Let me check on you guys before I go any further. Hey, Riddler. Hey, Ava. Hey, Ramblin' Rome. Hey, Steph. How are you guys? Thank you guys for being here. I thought that I'm still trying to recover from Dr. Lewis. I know. Oh, I know. You know what? I really couldn't hear much of that. And I'm going to wait and try to watch it again once we can hear it because, yeah, I didn't get much from that. So, okay, so Lori's defense attorney is asking Ian questions now. And says, Ian says, I am as well as I can be, I guess. When asked how he is, he looks very solemn. He met Melanie P. in November 2019, and she was recently divorced. They got married 10 days after meeting. They were married in Vegas. He talked to Lori and Chad and asked for Melanie's hand in marriage. He says at that time, Chad and Lori were the closest relatives she had, and she trusted them the most. They talk about casting. Ian references were made during phone calls, and they're trying to expel a disembodied spirit, and even that bugs would crawl in your ear and possess you. Ian is not currently working with the FBI in any capacity. He stopped 2 weeks after he started. Nobody knew he was recording these. Melanie knows now that he did. So on December 12th, Alex passed away. It was a significant day for Melanie. There was a phone call with Lori and Chad about Alex that day or the day after. The next day, or the day Alex died, Melanie had been told by Lori and Chad, told Melanie to go to a place of safety. He recorded a conversation, and Chad and Lori gave Melanie a blessing. Ian didn't know what the FBI knew, and he hoped he could get anything to help find Tally and JJ. He thinks he did 9 total recordings. He's heard bits and pieces leading up to the trial. The last time was at the grand jury when about 10 minutes were played. The context, wow, that's interesting because we never knew the details of the grand jury meetings. The context was discussions with Ian and Melanie, recordings with Lori, Chad, Alex, and Zulema. Ian was questioning Melanie to see what she was hearing. The one with everyone present was when Alex was sick. Lori said she was able to cast Satan out by folding him up like a taco and shipping him to our what? Oh my God, I can't even get it out. It's so ridiculous. Yeah, a bug in the ears. Hey, Melissa. Hey, Peach. Me and Melissa are trying to do a dual stream. We're trying to figure that out. And we were talking about doing it today, but she has a thing scheduled at 3. But I hope that we can do it soon. Look at this. Ian was questioning Melanie to see what she was hearing. The one with everyone present was when Alex was sick. Lori said she was able to cast Satan out by folding him up like a taco and shipping him to Antarctica. Hey, Shar. Oh, my God. Good to see you. I've missed you. Ian said he gave Melanie a blessing of comfort. He's asked if he hearing a blessing Chad and Lori gave. He can't remember. He said blessings were flying around. All right, let's go to Nate. And see what he's got. Oh my gosh, I'm so nervous, y'all. Is she craving Taco Bell or something? I can't believe you're here, Shar. I miss you. All right, let's see. I got to go back a little bit because Nate describes things so differently. Okay, Melanie should have been cooperating with were dark beings when in reality these officers, in the 2 weeks I was meeting with them, there were a lot of things that came about that Lori was exactly being truthful with Melanie. She was telling her that Brandon is dark, that law enforcement officers Melanie should have been cooperating with were dark beings, when in reality, these officers were trying to find 2 missing children and what happened with the shooting of Brandon Boudreaux. Thomas asked Ian if Chad and Lori ever said anything bad about him. He says they did not. Thomas says, based on Ian's purported lack of knowledge about what was recorded on December 12th and 13th, he asked Boyce to allow Ian to listen to the recording. Prosecutors request a sidebar. White noise is played in the courtroom. Sidebar is over. Boyce says he is denying the request to play the recording at this time. Zulema called Melanie and told her that Alex had died. Melanie then called Lori and Chad, according to Ian. Ian recorded the call. He says he was trying to record as many calls as he could without looking suspicious. Melanie was distraught when Alex died. I would love to hear that call. I think that we should hear it. Oh, welcome, Regina. Thank you. Hey, AJ. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for doing this. I can't read tweets all day. Looks bad at work. And then Andrew said the same thing. Thank you for doing this way I can work and listen. Love you. Oh, I love you guys too. And you're so welcome. Well, I mean, I had to because it's like the one day we get where we can go through things live as they happen. And I love that. That's one of my favorite things to do. I actually went through when Letitia had her preliminary hearing. I did the tweets live on that. Yeah, I'll never forget that. Okay, let's see. She was crying and felt like she had been attacked by spiritual demons. She had been told by Chad and Lori that there was going to be a spiritual attack that day. With Alex dying, that confirmed it. So before Alex died, Chad and Lori told Melanie there was going to be a spiritual attack that day. Wow. Hey, Tisha, I hope you're having a good day too. Ooh, I would definitely want some cheer up news, Shar. Of course. Hey, Tiff. Oh, wait. Oh, you're having a boy. That's so exciting. Congratulations. Oh, that's awesome. Hey, Tess. I have such a hard time with the tweet threads. I always screw it up and get mad. I know, me too. It's confusing. It is because you're kind of going backwards, you know. So Chad and Lori told Melanie that before Alex passed away that there was going to be a spiritual attack that day. When Alex passed away, Melanie was like, "Oh, that confirmed it." I can't believe that. Okay. I have no clue. I have no clue how Chad and Lori knew there was going to be a spiritual attack that day. Then Alex died, Ian says. There's reality, and then there's layers of spiritual explanation that were laid over reality. Chad and Lori gave Melanie a blessing over the phone after Alex died, but I don't believe a spiritual attack killed Alex. Damn. Go, Ian. Thank you. Thomas asked if he recalls Chad and Lori saying they would put shields of light around Melanie after Alex died. Ian says that sounds like something they would say, but does not specifically recall. On the 9 recordings, Ian says there are a handful of blessings done over the phone. Ian was brought into the blessings. Okay, so now we're caught up. We're live. So as they come out, I'll read them. We just have to refresh along the way. Oh, here's a new one. Thomas asked if Ian ever remembers putting hands on Melanie's head for a blessing while Lori and Chad were on the phone. He says he doesn't recall, but if Thomas told him it happened, he would believe him. Thomas has no further questions. Oh my God, it's going to be Melanie's turn, you guys. I'm nervous. Oh my gosh. Yep, let's see. Let me flip over to... In the 9 days he recorded, there were a handful of blessings, pretty lies and alibis. Ian said, I don't believe a spiritual attack killed Alex. Crosses over, no redirect. Ian is excused, and the defense may recall Ian in their case. He will be released from the state. Thomas says they ask he not be released, saying he is unlikely to come back if called. State says he has no hesitation being here. We, the defense, would have to send a subpoena if he were to be called back. Ian's attorney would come back if the defense sent a subpoena. Wow. The defense is mad at Ian for sure. They're being rough on him. They are. They've called him a snitch. They've said he's not going to come back if he's asked to. Hey, Trap Mafia. You guys, I was looking back at some of Reverend Donna's videos on the case. And in March, hey, Wondering Sub, hey, Lolo, in March, months before the kids were found, she did a video and she describes JJ. I mean, the bag over the head, the black bag over the body. She describes the tape over the outside of the bag. She describes Lori being the one who does that. And the crazy thing is, you know, they found Lori's hair on it. So I was listening to some of that this morning, and yeah, it's shocking to go back and look. All right, let's see what's happening. Here's Hidden True Crime. She's also there and live tweeting as well. Oh, by the way, today is Tammy Daybell's birthday. So happy birthday to Tammy Daybell. Oh, look, I was just sent this from Rexburg. They are celebrating Tammy's birthday at the remote viewing. Treats along with green smoothie and fruit representing her good health. The health Chad said she didn't have. Happy heavenly birthday, Tammy. Oh my gosh. Oh, sure. You've been a member for 21 months. Oh. Thanks, Woofy, for texting that to me. Oh, I love you, Shar. Okay. Let's see. You think Melanie's going to be up next? I think that she will, but I don't know for sure. There's Tammy, a picture of Tammy. She would have been 53. I wonder what her kids are thinking as, they watch a trial, a woman be tried for the murder of their mother. Oh, the next witness is Taylor Ballard. Well, let's see what's up with this. Hey, Day Tripper. I'm kind of upset that it's not Melanie. I wonder why. Given the posture of Mr. Palowski, we believe it's unlikely he come back should we need him to come back, so we ask that he not be released from the subpoena. Blake wants him dismissed from the subpoena. Ian will be released from the state subpoena, but before he leaves today, the defense will issue him a subpoena. Garrett Smith, Ian's attorney, tells Blake that Ian will come back if he's served. Excuse me, you guys. Oh, here we go. Ballard works as a health insurance broker in Rexburg. Chad Daybell was his client. Ballard met with Chad on October 31st, 2019. He came in and asked about obtaining health insurance effective November 1st. The health insurance he had expired the day before because his wife's policy was over after she died. Chad asked for insurance for him and some of his adult children. Taylor coming in with the tea. I wonder what this will be. I was so expecting Melanie to be after Ian. So now I'm really thrown for a loop. I guess we just have to wait and see. Actually, while we wait, I'm going to pull up and show you guys what I'm talking about with Psychic Reverend Donna, because I think I screenshotted the exact timestamp. Hold on. Let me look real fast. Thanks. Who said what? No, Lolo, they're not on break. They just switched witnesses, so it was just, we're kind of paused for a second. Hey, Punksy. I've never seen her videos on the case. Oh, my God, Tess. You need to. Ooh, I'll go back and read that why she's not testifying. I heard Melanie watch something on the trial, so she won't be testifying anymore. See, that's what happened with Ian, too, but they made him do it anyways. So that's interesting. Okay. So she just did a video about the duct tape. Okay. This is her video. I'm going to share her channel, of course, but while we're waiting for some new stuff from the courtroom, let me show you guys this. Because she actually pulls up her video from back then. Okay. So she did, her reading was with Kresha. You know, Kresha has the YouTube channel, Difficult Research. Thank you, Punksy. If I didn't say it, I think I said it, but just in case I didn't, thank you so much. That's really sweet. And I appreciate it so, so much. So Donna does this reading on March 28th of 2020. The kids were not found until June. She did the reading with Kresha. Here she is playing a clip from that reading. And I want you guys to just hear this. This is really, really crazy.
Events with JJ also. I could see if he takes me back down the hill, or if he keeps me at the cabin with JJ where this happened with. But they did dispose of him around the same place, which I've chill on my leg, like right up at that same area, but they buried him. And again, it's because Alex's refusal to do this thing that made him sick to his stomach. So JJ's buried there, but I guess I know what happened, but I just don't know the location. I know that he's buried.
Bree, thank you, because I read that wrong then, because I read it like they had both read or watched a little bit of the testimony or the trial. It was very eye-opening, Tisha. So what she's playing is her reading with Kresha, and you hear her talking about what happened, okay? She's about to explain more, but she's like screen sharing her own video, but you can go back on her channel and watch these old videos. I've watched them all. It's fascinating how many things she got correct.
At there. And I'm seeing what happened to him, so maybe I'm supposed to say, okay, I won't, yeah, because sometimes it's worse not knowing, because then everything spins until, no, I did that for 5 years after my daughter died. It just, because I couldn't see it myself, I'd almost have a heart attack. Okay, so with JJ, what happened was this. I see that he was in his pajamas. He had flannel pajamas, and he was.
Now that's true. We know he was found in his pajamas. And one other thing, she claims the reason that JJ and Tylee were taken care of differently is because with Tylee, it was such a long process and it also made Alex sick, all of the blood and stuff like that. And yesterday's testimony with Lori's friend, who says that Lori threatened her life, is very interesting when you hear, because she said that Lori said, I'm not in the mental place for that, for all the blood and stuff, but I'll get there. Okay, but keep listening, because this is going to blow your mind.
Whining about something. He must be supposed to be in bed, or maybe he was playing in his pajamas. I shouldn't assume he's supposed to be in bed. Because I felt a lot of times like he's playing on his toy box, or maybe he's just like he wants something or whatever. But Lori has him there. She's planning on doing this, so it's not like she just gets mad and does this. It's just that she wasn't planning on doing it right that second, but she just did it right that second. Like, instead of going, okay, at 5 o'clock, okay, get ready. Let's give the kid a sedative so he doesn't suffer in terror. No, she doesn't even bother with anything like that. Like, I mean, the whole thing's bad enough.
Now, remember, at this time, I'm going to read through some of the comments that you guys are leaving right now after we hear this next part. But at this time, the whole world did not even know if the kids were alive or not. A lot of people thought they were hidden in a cave somewhere.
Why this horrible, terrifying, traumatic way of murdering your children? Like, what she does is she's got another one of these bags, these black bags, and it's not a small like grocery bag, it's more like a hefty bag. And I don't know necessarily that it's the thickest contractor bag, but it felt like it was like a leaf bag or something like that, or the thicker than leaf bag, but the ones that aren't going to break and stuff. It might have been a contractor bag. It might have been the same exact ones that she used with Tylee's body. But so she's got one of these black bags, and then she's got duct tape. So she must have heard him or something. I feel like he was whining a little bit, but she was already planning on it. He didn't whine, and then she was going to do this. She was already going to do this. She just did it right then, because he was whining about something, and then she just like she was like, oh, it's okay, but she really had the bag, and she had the duct tape too, like maybe on her wrist or holding it or something. She had them both, and so she walks up like she's being real nice, and she's like, oh, it's okay, honey. Then all of a sudden she just poof, whips that bag over his head so fast, and I know, horrible. And then she's like, no, you could. I mean, I've called her name. She's put me to the test of real negative thoughts in my heart. And but I'm like a reverend, and I'm like sitting here trying to always only hold love in my heart. But I mean, to see something like this and feel the evil of it.
So you hear her. She knows, and she describes perfectly. I mean, she describes perfectly what happened to Tylee months before they were found. It is absolutely, it's just crazy. I don't know. Bree, no problem. I listened to Ian being questioned about it. Defense was assuming Ian watched stuff because he's married to Melanie, and Melanie had watched. Thank you, Bree. Hey, Amanda. I've missed a lot, Tisha, at myself, but I want to go back because Letitia's trial was, we could watch it. It was a lot easier to like focus on that one for the most part, but we will go back. I want to talk about all of it. Hey, Valera. Good to see you. Love you too. And so, yes, if a witness admits that they've been listening to other testimony and stuff like that, they can try to get it pushed out. It depends. It's all up to the judge, and the attorneys and stuff. But okay, so back to Twitter really quick, you guys. The last one that we read was Ballard takes the stand, an insurance broker. So the health insurance Chad had expired because his wife's policy was over after she passed. Chad said his income for 2020 was going to look different now that his wife was gone. Ballard told her they don't normally apply people for Medicaid, but given the nature of his situation and his wife being a previous client, she would apply him for Medicaid in January. She arranged insurance for him and the kids in November and December. When Ballard went to enroll Chad in Medicaid, the income numbers they had were higher than what he told her. Health and Welfare asked Ballard to get Chad's tax return to see what his income was. Ballard texted Chad and said that she needed it. Chad responded that he was out of state all week but would bring it the following week. At some point, he brought it in and he did not qualify, but he did get a tax credit. On November 21st, Ballard texted Chad and asked him to come in to discuss coverage. He came in and Chad asked if he was to get married, how hard it would be to add his wife to the policy. I told him that it wasn't a problem to add a spouse, but we'd need to do it within 60 days of the date of the marriage. Chad said at that time it was just him and his son Mark who needed coverage. Ballard emailed Chad his coverage plan options. Fremont County Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Tanya Rawlings is questioning Ballard. Ballard asked to look at her notes. The defense and prosecution have a right to see notes before a witness looks at them, and Thomas is now reviewing them. Hey, Bendy. Here, I'm going to drop the link in case you want to come up. I'll fill you in on what's happened so far. And I don't think we're going to hear from Melanie, actually, but we might. It's kind of looking like it won't. And if you can't, I understand too. Tonight, Jenn is doing an All Things Lori Vallow after Crime Curious is live with Christopher Welch. So there's the link, you guys. Let me see what you sent, Tess. Hold on. Annie Cushing, this is what she said about the witness from yesterday, which is an interesting conversation that we could get into as well. She said, breaking, Audrey Baratero was the mystery woman in the Ring camera footage captured October 29th. She flew back from Hawaii with Melanie Boudreau and stayed with Lori. So she was in the home, and the two kids who she knew Lori had identified as dark were nowhere to be found. But she's also going with the I'm just a kind, trusting person defense for why she didn't go to police or make any attempts to get help for these victims. Okay, and then a clown emoji. Oh, shit. Annie is not happy with her. Yes, it was, Bree. Dave admitted to reading and listening to a few things, and he still testified. Let me see if we've got any more so far. Thomas asked for a sidebar. So after reviewing the notes, he wants a sidebar. They're going to try to do whatever they can. Hey, Jenn.
Hey, babe. I missed your message. I guess I got it late because I answered you, but then I was like, wait a minute, she hasn't answered me back. Is this Boot alive? And I was like, oh, yep, she alive. So hi.
Well, it was impromptu because Ian was on the stand. I was hoping Melanie would take it, but now they've moved on to an insurance broker, which is really interesting. So I don't know. I thought that we would follow along as it goes. Did you see about yesterday, the friend?
Okay. Yes, I watched. I'm catching up right now. And they're about to, I'm almost to the part where Ian takes the stand initially. I've been catching up all morning on all the things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was this morning watching some Donna, Reverend Donna. That's what I was telling the chat. Like, she has this video right here she just did. And in this video, she goes back to her video from March 28th, 2020, before they were found. And she says that Lori puts a bag over his head, that JJ's in his pajamas, and that she has duct tape on her wrist and wraps it around the outside of the bag. And even in her reading, she's like, I don't know why you wouldn't put it under the bag, but she was so scary accurate. It's crazy.
That is crazy. Also, happy May 4th.
May the 4th be with you. And look at her. Oops, I don't know how I got to deets. I clicked it here. Look at this, though. She did, here, I'll play this little clip of Field of Fire. But she's been doing all these videos on the case and her old readings and stuff. And I wanted to tell you about this one. Look, Lori Vallow used demon possession calendar used in deaths and marriage in Hawaii. You got to check that out, Jenn.
Okay. I got to. I'm going to do it. I keep saying that I'm going to. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit tonight, too.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking, because I knew you were wanting to talk about the dates and stuff. So maybe if you...
We need a deep dive.
I know. There's so much. You're not blocked, rumor spreading around. I see you. Says Dane local to Ben Hill. Like the Ben Hill locals have blocked me.
Oh no.
Here's a clip from the Field of Fire. It's only 40 seconds here. I'll play it and let's listen. I haven't heard it yet.
Okay.
It's a heavenly fire. Like, it's not a fire like we have fire in big campfire. It's not like a bonfire. It's a heavenly fire. And it's a heavenly fire. Like, it's not a fire like we have fire in big campfire. It's not like a bonfire. It's a heavenly fire. And it's a heavenly fire.
She just plays that clip over and over. Oh my God, Jenn.
It's a heavenly fire.
You do a really great Lori impression.
It's a heavenly fire. And then here's Chet. And then here's Melanie. Y'all turn your volume down. God, she's so weird.
Oh my God, you missed something that was funny from this morning in Ian's testimony. Was it on, I think, oh yeah, I know where I got it. Pretty Lies and Alibis, or isn't that her name? Yes. Look at this. This is what Lori, hold on, let me find it.
Okay.
I know you're going to get a kick out of this one. Okay. Ian said that he gave Melanie, okay, wait. A blessing. Ian was questioning Melanie to see what she was hearing. The one with everyone present was when Alex was sick. Lori said she was able to cast Satan out by folding him up like a taco and shipping him to Antarctica. That's real.
Oh my
It's
God.
real.
Folding him up like a taco. Huh.
Shipping them to Antarctica.
I feel like if you're going to ship, you would want to ship a burrito, especially if you're going from Idaho to Antarctica, because a burrito is self-contained. That's very poor planning on your part, Lori. Clearly, you don't eat Mexican very often, or you would know that the burrito is the correct item for folding people and packaging them and sending them to Antarctica. Although tacos are delicious, they don't keep
They are
well because
delicious.
they be falling out, you know.
Yes, exactly.
God, Lori,
Y'all
you're
never
so
casted
dumb.
Satan out in your tacos. Claire
I
says,
mean,
judgy
listen,
much?
casting people out is hard work, and you do work up an appetite. But, you know, and tacos would be delicious for that, I suppose. I mean, I don't know how Satan feels about tacos. He's Satan, so probably anti-taco since they're delicious. I'm not sure.
Oh, another thing that came out today was Ian said the day that Alex died, before Alex died, Chad and Lori warned everybody that there was going to be a spiritual attack that day. Then Alex died, and it. Yeah. Oh, look at
what
this.
happened to Alex is the warrior. He couldn't defend against the spiritual attack. Isn't that what warriors do? Defend against attack? Guess not. Guess he's going to have to come back at what, a 4th or 5th probation there, Chad? What you make of that, sir? Oh, my God. I have to tell everybody what happened to me today that reminded me of Chad. Okay. Today is trash day. And the people that lived here before us had some kind of like pool. And it looks like it's a bigger pool, but it's like not one that you would put like an above ground pool, but like one you get at Walmart, but kind of the big ones. Okay. And I was like, oh, I got to get this pool out today. So I go to move the pool, and what hops out from underneath that pool? The fattest freaking frog or toad I've ever seen. And it had like this little chin and this like big old waddle thing up underneath. And I was like, oh my God, that's Chad Daybell. I knew I shouldn't open that closet portal. I should have invited him. And here he came as a whole toad, knowing I'm scared of toads. I don't care for the frogs. Freaking Chad. Okay. Well, just so you know, Chad, the closet portal is closed to you, sir. You're not invited no more if you're going to be coming as a frog.
No more coming through the closet. And now the defense has another sidebar. He says there's been a discovery violation and asked that the witness be excused. Did you listen yesterday to the
yes,
Lori's friend? Or were you going to go over that tonight? Because I thought you might, so I didn't want to play it in case you were.
You know, it's not. Hers doesn't her big revelation of everything doesn't really come until redirect, which caused a whole kerfuffle. And there was another we can play it because I do want to talk about it, but we have so much to talk about, Allie, that we should talk a little, talk about this now while we're thinking about it. But there was a whole kerfuffle about the officer that was testifying because Archibald didn't like that he was reading from the PowerPoint. It should be from his own recollection. Bruh, he only fucking downloaded 80 billion emails from Tammy and searches, etc. So how is he going to know that from memory? That's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
But he was kind of mean to that. Yeah, he was kind of mean to that to Lori's friend, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, none of the witnesses are able to remember. I have the timestamp. Let me see. Here's the, but yeah, think about in Letitia's trial, how many times that other witnesses have had to get their notes and because they can't accurately remember. 3 years is a long time.
Well, not Dorothy. Dorothy was like, she just said flat out, don't remember, don't know. It might be, could be, maybe. Here's my box of magic. And I have papers in here that you asked me about 10 minutes ago. And I said, I didn't have those papers, but surprise.
Well, here they are.
Here we go.
Okay. Well, since the defense now is having their sidebar, we'll play this now for a second. And
all right.
I think this is right at the part where she describes, what Lori
Okay.
said to her.
All right.
Did you, in fact, end up attending the funeral?
Yes, I had to go see her in the casket. Sorry.
You're just fine.
I had to tell her goodbye. And she looked good.
And where was
Wait,
the
am I on
funeral?
the wrong thing? Yes. Hold on.
Yeah, because I was like,
Sorry.
not Alice Gilbert. Listen, yes, what she said is awful. But I will say this. Hearing that made me just all the more sure. I don't want like a funeral with a casket for myself, because I don't want people standing over me, looking at me. What if I don't look good? You know?
Yeah.
I just don't want people to remember me that way. And unfortunately, you do remember that. No matter how much you try not to, you remember it. I just don't want people, I don't know. So
Yeah.
sad though, like the trickle down effect of the things that Lori and Chad, Melanie, Zulema, because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but your girl here has. And anytime any kind of shenanigans is going down, Melanie G is all up in the mix. Anytime they do a roll call of who was there, the first person who was there, Melanie Gibb, followed by a very close second, Zulema.
Yeah.
So stop trying to play Melanie. You were there.
Previously not.
Yep. And actually, you know what? Melanie, with the fact, all the things that come out just point to me that they're still thinking about
yes,
involvement. So
they're pondering you, Melanie. I wouldn't breathe a sigh of relief, after you got up on that stand and testified in your Cindy Walsh outfit. You ain't in the clear, ma'am.
No, ma'am. Okay, this is
what happened when she shared about this experience, and then what Jim
Archship and why you terminated it, and you said that you were scared or in fear.
Danielle.
Why was that?
Because of a conversation.
And who was the conversation with?
Jen, but, all right, I'll be
Did she make threats to you?
She did.
What did she say? What threats did she make to you?
Your Honor, I think this is outside.
She threatened
the
to
scope of
kill me.
I'd object.
Hold on just a minute. It came up on cross-examination, so it's within the scope of cross and proper redirect. Ms. Rawlings, you can re-ask the question.
What's the time and place of this conversation?
And I think, Audrey, you indicated this was when defense counsel.
We need plans to leave because I prayed about it and it felt like I needed to leave and end the friendship. And I was leaving early the next morning. And Lori and I were the only ones in the hall in her place at the time. And I told her that I was going to go upstairs and pack my bag and just go to bed early because I didn't want to spend more time with her. And as I went to go and do that, I asked her the question, is there anything weird going on that I don't know about? And she said, no. What do you mean? And I said, I don't know anything. And she said, no. So I took her to word because I'm a trusting person. And as soon as I turned to stop to go up the stairs, she started laughing. The kind of laugh as if you're laughing at someone or think something's hilarious.
I mean, that's what laughing
and she
is.
said to me, you're so naive and too trusting.
Jen.
You're like a little child. You'll believe anything anyone would tell you. And she said, you think the world is all unicorns and rainbows. You go around helping people and serving them. Well, I've got news for you. Not everyone's a good person. And not everyone can afford to be so nice and kind. And then she said that
So I want to just focus on what threats she made to you.
She threatened to kill me.
Okay. Did she say how?
Yes. She said that she would cut me up. And something about that she wasn't in the mental place to do that, but that she would get herself in that place to be able to do it. But that she didn't want to have to because it'd be so messy and there'd be so much blood. And bleach and something about trash bags. And that she would bury me where no one would ever find me.
Okay. I don't think I have any other questions, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Rawlings.
Okay.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Lolo, that was a friend of Lori Vallow's, but she's kind of young. She's like 34, and she was friends with Melanie's as well. So what do you think about that? And how do you think that's going to affect the trial? That's those statements there, because, they were cut up and in plastic and all the things that she said, really, but I'm curious on your thoughts.
I mean, I think the jury is definitely going to connect the same dots that you connected, that the threat that she made to her friend is the same way that poor JJ and Tylee ended up. And I think that, I think they're definitely going to think about it. I will say that Archibald, for his part, he did his best. He's like, didn't you testify under oath during the probable cause hearing? And she's like, yes. And, he said, well, you didn't mention this story. And she said, no, I didn't. And he asked her why. And I thought this was a good answer. I mean, if ever you're going to withhold and then say it at the trial, this is probably one of the best excuses you can have, or reasons. I shouldn't say excuse, reasons. Is that, you were scared. That's what she said. I was scared. I was scared that she would get me.
Right. Well, I mean, I bet imagine afterwards her, finding how the kids were found and stuff. I think that would be scary. Annie Cushing said this. I'm going to tell you again after we hear this. She says, because she was looking for this mystery woman on the Ring cameras at their apartment complex. And she said, basically, that is who that mystery woman was. She said she was in the home, and the two kids who she knew Lori had identified as dark were nowhere to be found. But she's going with the I'm just a kind, trusting person defense for why she didn't go to the police or make any attempts to get help for these victims. And then she put a clown emoji.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I mean, I will say that it's kind of complicated in a way, and there's part of me that feels that way. Like, what do you mean? You heard all these things, you couldn't put two and two together. But then I think about it, and we're all putting two and two together, knowing how the story ends. So did she probably have suspicions or feel a gut feeling that something was off? Probably, absolutely, right? I feel like that's Lori's whole vibe, is something ain't right. I'm thrown off.
Yeah.
But people feel like, for whatever reason, as a society, I feel like we kind of have been taught, and this is a lot of overcome, because it's been like ingrained in us for a very long time, to kind of mind your own business. And you don't want to accuse somebody of something, right, and it not be true, and you've wrecked their life. That's how I do think people feel like that.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And that's a big accusation. That's a big accusation, So
and what were they really, like, what did she her? I'm not talking about Melanie and Zulema, but her, and people that were not in the inner circle, but sometimes got invited to castings and stuff like that. I feel like if they didn't know all the things, I hold them to a little bit lower of a standard than I hold the people who were were in the inner circle. If I hear their name in the roll call mentioned more than a couple of times, then I feel like, yes, Melanie, I'm looking at you and your bangs, ma'am. Then, something is definitely, they knew more and did nothing.
Oh, I agree. Melanie and Zulema are on another level than this lady. I'm just going to play this for a second. Is this her?
Okay.
It's as her name, and she took the stand this morning. She says she stopped being friends with Lori after Lori threatened to kill her. She says Lori called her naive.
Okay, that does look like her in the drawing too a little bit. Their drawings are thrown off, Jen.
Their drawings are, listen, y'all, I want you to hear me and hear me good. Now, I'm not trying to be petty. I don't really have to try, I just kind of am. And I'm not, the art is subjective, but let me just say this. I want y'all to hear me well. If anything, God forbid, ever happens and my ass has to go on trial, please do not hire this artist to draw me, okay? Because he or she is doing nobody no favors.
Yeah, please, dear God, don't
pick an artist who will glam me up. Give me a bigger bust line and the booty I had when I was 20. Okay, that's the kind of artist y'all can hire from me. Thank you.
Is this Lori or is this her with the hair like that? Because look,
Lori is not testifying. This is her testifying. You see how Lori has her Sharpay do
right
over
here. To the side? Okay,
yes.
And then this here is the friend.
Right. I think that the artist is capturing different moments during her testimony and Lori's reaction, because only Lori would waltz into court with her hair up like a freaking Lhasa Apso in a Shih Tzu and think that this is a good look, that this is an everyday, I don't know if she thinks it's pulling back the wrinkles, but spoiler alert, Lori, it's really just actually aging you. You should let your hair loose a little, ma'am. I'm just saying, if you're going to keep it long.
Hello, thank you. Oh my God, look at her there compared to, thank you. Look at her there. We have a UPS package delivered, but look at her there compared to now. It is a huge difference. And I started a comment that I thought you would find interesting. Tess says, it's a fundamentalist thing. They're taught to speak sweetly. Brigham Young was the first to say women should talk sweetly, if I remember correctly.
There's it's called Keeping Sweet.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
But the girl testifying looks like Sharpay do too. I'd rather have let's see. Amber, as a former art student, artists are used to criticism. I give her props, but I've heard even Long Crime criticize the drawings. Here is, they're on break till 12:45.
That's what I meant to say. Shih Tzu, not Sharpay. My bad. I think I said Sharpay first and then recognized and said Shih Tzu / Lhasa Apso. It's not a good look.
Yeah.
Also, after the Cowardly Lion goes to the Emerald City to meet Oz, then the wizard, obviously, he has that same look as well. He's got a big red bow. Mm-hmm. His mane is put up like that. Mm-hmm.
Lori reminds me in some pictures of the Cowardly Lion, I'll be honest. But okay, and if you guys that came in missed what happened this morning, Ian was on the stand. The defense, now, Jen, this is weird. The prosecution did not want to play the recordings Ian got, but the defense did, and they ruled that they wouldn't be able to. Let me see how the article explains it. But basically, that's yeah. There's Lori, a drawing of Lori. Does she have a braid in her hair?
Oh, let me see what Lori's doing today with her hairs. Oh, yes. She's got the long hair, I don't care look. Okay, Lori.
The long hair, I don't care look. Yeah, she definitely does. Let's see. A judge in the Lori Vallow Daybell trial ruled Thursday jurors will not be able to hear secret recordings of conversations between her, Chad, and others. Following arguments outside the presence of the jury, Stephen Boyce said the recordings constitute hearsay and cannot be admitted, even though, how is that? Ian worked with the police to make the recordings. He married Lori's niece in November. He testified Thursday that the night after marrying Melanie, she expressed fears specifically about Lori's missing kids and the attempted shooting of her husband. He decided then that something needed to happen, and James Archibald pushed for the recordings to be played for the jurors. He said in one of the recordings, Melanie Palowski was on the phone with Chad and Lori discussing Alex's death, religious issues, and a blessing from Chad. He said that it contains statements important to the religious aspects of the case, and the prosecutors argued the recordings were hearsay, and the judge agreed. I wish we would have heard those.
I think that it goes to I think the reason that it's considered hearsay is because it goes to the truth of the matter asserted, which is basically who did what and when, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that that's why but I feel like, and I think that I'm very curious that it's interesting to me that her attorney said yes, but I feel like it's some type of sneaky lawyer trick or some type of legal loophole, because I feel like maybe it could be used as an error later in an appeal, can be, considered an error, and that it's prejudicial. And so I think that out of abundance of caution, although it has good information and ideally you'd want it in, even if more as the prosecution than the defense, that's why I'm skeptical of why they wanted it in and the prosecution didn't. And I think maybe the prosecution is thinking ahead and thinking, okay, if it was allowed in, it could be an error and potentially, get her another trial. And they don't want to try this case again. It's already cost, the county a crazy amount of money, the investigation alone, not to mention the trial.
And having to do it twice,
having to do it twice.
Gigi said they were trying to stop Melanie from testifying. Well, look here, Nate just tweeted right now about 1 minute ago. Melanie Palowski will not testify today. She left Idaho yesterday. Ian just left the courthouse and is on his way home. It's unclear if she has been released from the subpoena. Damn it, man. I can't believe that.
Didn't Melanie, I know Melanie Palowski was arrested at one point, but
she was, but it was, what was that for though? Because I don't remember exactly.
But isn't there some kind of, didn't she give a proffer or something to that effect? Doesn't she have some type of deal or something?
I don't know. I honestly,
let me look into Melanie, because if the thing of it is, Melanie is a double-edged sword, as it were. She can both hurt and help the prosecution.
Right.
She technically is a true hostile witness, because her testifying would very, very, very likely be against her own best interest. Do you know what I mean? So, because that's also part of the definition of a hostile witness. It can be used. There's a couple of different ways that it's used, but that's one of them. And I feel like potentially the state might feel like they don't need her But that doesn't mean that they feel like that now. That doesn't mean like, I highly doubt they released her from her subpoena. She might be a just in case for later.
Let me see. Look at, here is an interview that she did with Ian while we're waiting to see who the next witness is. I probably won't keep you guys too much longer, but we can wait and see what happens. I'll show you this. This is, hold on, not sharing the tab.
What people had already.
This is Melanie and Ian doing an interview with Nadie, and this is, they've actually got it very easy to go to little clips. This is where he asked about JJ and Tally. So I'll play this just for a second so we can get like a little refresher on her. She's a beautiful girl, but
yeah. I mean, the only person really that's in this trial that is unfortunate looking is Chad.
Yes. Yes, that is so true. I can't believe that Lori was attracted to him. She's with Charles. He's just handsome. I don't know. I just don't get it.
I think that it was for her. Obviously, it cannot be physical. It has got to be mental and emotional. And I think that they both are good at being chameleons and being what whoever is in front of them needs them to be in the moment. And to be quite frank with you, I think they snowed each other. I don't think that Chad and Lori ever really met the actual Chad and Lori. I think they met each other's representatives, which I know sounds weird considering that they were in all these unalivings together, right? But I think even through all of that, I still think that they were married to each other's representatives. I don't think they ever really knew each other.
That's really how it happens anyway. A lot of times with you know, that is so interesting the way you say that though, the representatives, because it's true. But okay, I'll just play a second of this and then we'll see what's happening in there.
Plan and what's actually going on, it kind of makes it less suspicious to me, I guess.
Where do you guys think JJ and Tylee are?
I don't know, and I've been asked that so many times, and as we know, I've had every fear in the world of what could have happened to them. And I think most of December, after Lori and Chad just disappeared and I didn't have a phone number for them and no contact, I am thinking the worst because I get a phone call from one of Lori's old friends and she scares me with a lot of, I think this happened or this could have happened. And I'm having every what if, because I'm like, yeah, I didn't see them the whole time I was up there in November, but I also know and had seen, text messages from Kay and how she was treating Lori after Charles passed away. And I also knew who Lori was though. And Lori's always been somebody with a plan. She's always done everything to protect her kids. So up until when my door was broken down and things shifted and I can't talk to Lori and Chad, absolutely. I'm dumping on Ian, hey, what if this happened? What if this happened? And if I haven't.
That's her making excuses for talking to Ian about being scared that her kids were zombies. Because that is what Melanie did. She essentially was afraid was telling Ian like, oh my God, I'm afraid my kids are going to be zombies. Hearing her talk about it's just, whoa, I don't know.
Yeah.
Kind of crazy though.
Very. I just, I don't know. It's, I just don't understand the people in the close inner circle. I really don't. I'm having a very, very difficult time with them. And, all of these things. Okay. One thing happening. Okay. 2 things is a coincidence, but 3 things is a friggin' pattern. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's my problem, I feel like.
It's like, okay, that they're telling you that, like, okay, for instance, Charles is a zombie. Charles loses his life. Tammy is a zombie. Viola and the other one too. Then Tammy loses her life. The kids are zombies. Obviously, the kids are going to lose their lives.
How do you not, at the very least, right? At the very minimum, you think maybe, because I don't know completely how this zombie thing works. And I'll tell you why, because it's not real clear. And even the people that are testifying for the state and explaining the light to dark scale and blah, 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 they're not real clear about it either. And so frankly, it's kind of fuzzy about all of that. But at the bare minimum, right, you know that being a zombie is not a good thing. And you do know that Charles and Tammy were considered zombies, and they're no longer living. So at the bare minimum, you should be at least concerned for the kids' safety. Then when they go missing, you don't think, now they for real are not safe.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. So maybe I should step up. Maybe I should say something. If it turns out to be nothing, I would take a risk for kids. That I will say. You know how we're taught not to, to intervene or whatever. When it comes to kids, I would intervene because you just don't know. I would rather err on the side of, I would rather be wrong and somebody say something nasty to me about, and feel bad that I was wrong, than not say anything and something bad happen and feel guilty for that. Right. That when it comes to kids, it's different.
Yeah,
but not to these people.
What does it actually? Benny Keys said once, like, I'll snitch on my best friend to save a kid. Sorry,
I'd snitch on myself to save a kid.
Hey, Angela. Poor Tylee knew what was coming. Bless her little heart. Yes, she did, Tisha. She absolutely did. She was, even Melanie references her saying, "No, not me, Mom," when she's a zombie. And you know what the psychic says? And you guys, if you haven't watched it, I pulled up a video of hers where she's describing in March, a few months before the kids were found, exactly what happened. But if she got many things right. I'm not saying that this is correct, but just what if the way she describes it was JJ was going to be, it was supposed to happen at the same time. However, it was much harder than they had imagined. What they took on with Tylee and the way that they did it. They weren't expecting how hard it would be, and how much blood and how gruesome and how long you would have, all of that. And so they decided to take care of JJ another way. That is basically what her reading says, and that Alex refused to do it that way again. I don't know. It's interesting, but it's crazy because she's wrong in other cases. I'm not going to she has been wrong a few times, but she was so dead on with so many details. It's hard not to really look about what she said.
Right.
Hey, curious? Here, I'll show you guys if you came in late because we haven't got an update since the Melanie won't testify. It's crazy because she just has a quick little thing where you can see. I don't know. It's sad. Today's Tammy's birthday. I wonder how her kids are functioning through all of this, and what I hope that they see now.
Mm-hmm. What else I wonder? I wonder how Chad's hearing is going today. Doesn't he have a preliminary hearing today, a status hearing?
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure he does because I remember everybody saying, yeah, but it's going to, how fitting it'll be on Tammy's birthday. It'll be on Tammy's birthday. And all I could think of, I'll remember it because it's on May the 4th. I know. It's so sad,
Okay. It is so sad. All right, you guys, here's this a few seconds where she's describing what happened with JJ. This video was from March 28th, 2020. It's still up. All of her readings are still up, but just to show you kind of what I mean.
I just, because I couldn't see it myself, I'd almost have a heart attack. Okay, so with JJ, what happened was this. I see that he was in his pajamas. He had flannel pajamas.
He was in his pajamas.
He was whining about something. He must supposed to be in bed, or maybe he was playing in his pajamas. I shouldn't assume he's supposed to be in bed. Because I felt a lot of times like he's playing on his toy box, or maybe he's just he wants something or whatever. But Lori has him there. She's planning on doing this, so it's not like she just gets mad and does this. It's just that she wasn't planning on doing it right that second, but she just did it right that second. Instead of going, okay, at 5 o'clock, okay, get ready. Let's give the kid a sedative so he doesn't suffer in terror. No, she doesn't even bother with anything like that. I mean, it's the whole thing's bad enough, but you would think why this horrible, terrifying, traumatic way of murdering your children? Like what she does is she's got another one of these bags, these black bags. And it's not a small like grocery bag, it's more like a hefty bag. And I don't know necessarily that it's the thickest contractor bag, but it felt like it was like a leaf bag or something like that. Or the thicker than leaf bag, but you know, the ones that aren't going to break and stuff. It might have been a contractor bag. It might have been the same exact ones that she used with Tylee's body. But so she's got one of these black bags, and then she just suddenly, she's got duct tape. So she must have heard him or something. I feel like he was whining a little bit, but she was already planning on doing it. He didn't whine and then she was going to do this. She was already going to do this. She just did it right then because he was whining about something, and then she just like she was like, oh, it's okay, but she really had the bag and she had the duct tape too, like maybe on her wrist or holding it or something. She had them both, and she walks up like she's being real nice, and she's like, oh, it's okay, honey. Then all of a sudden she just poof, whips that bag over his head so fast, and I know. Horrible. And then she's like, no, you could, I mean, I've called her name. She's put me to the test of real evil of it. It's really what she does is she's trying to get this duct tape, but now JJ's struggling. So nothing is ever as easy as she thinks in her imagination. Yeah, he's fighting against her. He's pushing against her. He's pushing her with his hands. He's kicking with his legs. He's trying to resist. And so she's trying to push it down. So she knows.
So JJ was in pajamas, and she goes on to say there's a white bag and a black bag. She was right about the struggle. She said before they were found, Tylee was dismembered. She said Tylee and JJ were on the same property, not right beside each other, but just a distance from each other. It's mind-blowing how accurate she was. I don't have an answer for how. I don't know. Hey, Odd Zombie. I don't know, you guys. I need you to go back and listen to it all, Jen. But
I will. You know that I will. It's just hard, because especially knowing what we know. And I've kind of, because we were going through Leticia's trial, and your girl can only do so much at a time. You know what I mean? And take so much dark in at one time. And I've sort of skipped around enough to get the low points, as it were. And then, but I need to make myself, because I feel like if JJ and Tylee went through it, the least that I can do is listen to it. And I will. I will listen to it.
That's what I tell myself too, like with Gannon, because Gannon's case, even before we saw the photos and heard every detail and even before all of this, it's a case that is like meant so much to me from the beginning. I felt so attached to it. Hearing all of the details and going through it hours and hours a day, Jen, we're like 12 hours a day sometimes just listening to this stuff, talking about it.
Yeah.
It gets really dark. But then I tell myself the same thing. If it's important to know exactly what happened, to listen, to talk about it. This is really important. Gannon deserves that from us. So
he does. He went through it, and he suffered. And I cannot imagine all of these kids, all three of them, and the West boys as well. The fear and the betrayal,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is a person who, especially, it's really interesting that all three trials converged at the same time, because in all three instances, the people that took their lives were people that they were not, aside from Tylee, but the people that they were not biologically theirs, right? But they when you adopt a child, or foster a child, you take an oath that you're going to protect them, and you chose them. Yeah. You know what I mean? You chose them, and then you turn around and do this.
Yep,
and I just think
sorry, Corky. I said good night. I meant see you tonight. I'm listening to Jenn.
See you tonight, Corky.
Zombie, thank you so much. Says you gals do a great job breaking down all this information. Thank you. Keep going, Jenn.
Thank
I'm
you.
sorry. I just wanted to make
No,
sense.
no, it's fine. It's just so. It's just so much. It's just such an act of betrayal. It's like anytime something happens to a child, it's particularly abhorrent, right? But that level of it being their parent or their caregiver is an added layer of evil, as if it couldn't be more evil.
When someone they trust, that's why that they can get enhanced charges because of that. That is literally what Letitia, because she was a caregiver, they enhanced her charges. So, and Mark Milligan, he's retired law enforcement. His brother, Harry Milligan, has been missing for a long time. I have a video with him talking about it, and he's been on True Crime Analyst in detail. Decipher Podcast has videos on it. You guys, if you have time, go check that out because his story deserves the attention. They still have not found him. But Mark, so he comes from an educated background, but he's talking about Donna's readings and said, I listened to it multiple times. I can't explain. It's absolutely eerie. She has so much correct. And Mark, that well, if you listen multiple times, you probably know, but for you guys who don't, she wrote letters to the law enforcement. And the interesting thing is they found Tylee's DNA on the tools in Chad's shed. She told law enforcement in her letters, you need to go, there is her DNA will be on these sheds. You need to go back. And she has videos about it, but they actually went back a second time. I don't know if it was because of her, but she wrote multiple letters about this case and stuff to try to help. It's crazy.
Wow. It is crazy. It's just.
Hey, Katie K.
It's just so much.
I know, Jenn.
It's just so much. It's so heartbreaking. I don't understand. And I think that this is why people might lean towards they have to be, for lack of a better word, they have to be crazy. They have to be crazy to have done this. And I just feel like, obviously, anytime you take anybody's life, intentionally, not defending yourself, because that's different, but it's just, I don't know. It's just it's so heinous, these crimes and what they've done to these children. It's too much sometimes, but I'm going to continue to watch and report and get their stories out there. All of them.
You
do a great job. Thank you very much. But you do a really great job.
Well, thank you. But you make it easy to because your humor and plus you're smart, I don't know, you're logical, but you make it easier to sometimes get through some of this stuff because of, adding humor and stuff. And Mark Milligan, I wish that oh my God, I would love to see what she says about Harry.
Yes. Yes.
22 tantrums. Hey, crazy.
Hey, 22.
Oh, thank you, Melissa. Melissa, you do a great job too.
Yes, Melissa does do an excellent job. She really does. She's very passionate and she's very, very smart.
Yeah, really. And listening to her sometimes speak, it's like, wow, you are smart. The way she explains things. Okay, so Melanie isn't testifying today. And what's happened since we kind of stopped? It says, we're back in the courtroom. Thomas had a concern. The health insurance information this witness is testifying about was not provided to the defense. Turns out it was, but it was provided to Lori's previous attorney. Thomas said he and Archibald had not seen it, but they do have it. Ballard talks about a phone call. Hold on. This is an important part. Okay. Ballard talks about a phone call she had with Chad in December 2019. He called me because he wanted to make sure to pay his premiums for January. I told him I never heard back from him on the email I sent him for the quotes. We went over the options and he picked a plan. Chad only obtained insurance for himself and Mark, his son. On March 11, 2020, Chad went into Ballard's office. His original inquiry was to obtain health coverage for his new wife. Chad said he got married on November 5th. He said his new wife was incarcerated and he was really worried about something happening to her. Wow. Ballard said she didn't qualify to enroll because it was outside of the 60-day window. Chad said they moved from Hawaii. Moving into a new state is a qualifying event. Chad asked about dental coverage for himself, Lori, and Mark. Ballard said Chad was thinner and tanner in March when she saw him. He wrote on a sticky note, Lori Ryan Daybell, when asked what his new wife's name was.
Wow.
Lori Ryan Daybell? Okay, Lori.
Yeah, really. Yeah, Chad. He doesn't want to acknowledge Charles's last name. Wow.
Oh my God. Thomas now cross-examining Ballard. He asked Ballard what Chad's income was when he went into the insurance. She recalled Chad telling her his income without his wife was $20,000. Ballard asked if there were any children that needed to be insured. Chad said no. Rawlings had no further questions. Ballard says, Chad told me they wouldn't have any income but health and welfare interface $30,000. Thomas has no further questions. No redirect. The witness is released. Oh, Angela Yancey is the next witness. Yancey worked at Sugar Salem School District as the payroll and benefits administrator.
Oh boy.
So will
that's where Tammy worked, isn't it? As a librarian.
I can't remember. I don't remember. I know she was a librarian, but I don't remember the name of the school. But I'd say you're probably right if you remember that.
Well, sometimes I be connecting dots in my brain that don't actually exist because I'm functioning like right now. I'm okay. I had a good night's sleep last night, but the last few days, man, I've been functioning on like, I don't know, 2 or 3 brain cells, and those 2 or 3 brain cells are arguing with each other. So it's been bad news bears.
Hey, by the way, I was talking about that dual stream thing. Me and Melissa were going to try it today, but she hadn't I hadn't talked to her this morning yet. But we're going to try it soon. But we think we figured it out. So when you create a stream, you turn on the switch, which I did. I sent her the link. She was able to go in and then pull it up.
It offered me the same thing just now. It's like when I came in, it says stream this to your audience. It offers me the same thing.
Yes. Okay. And so I must have it permanently on then if it offered it to you.
Yes.
So then it will show you like your regular StreamYard page and you can choose your channel and then stream it to your audience too. And that way, less people might be in there, but that's okay because still your members will get to use their emojis, different things like that. I just think we should try that.
That's a good idea. We should try that.
Melissa, you're live at 3. Only thing I have to do around 3, I'll be going to get the kids and stuff. And then tonight I'm going on Jenn's, like I told you before. That's it though. So whenever you want, if you want, I'm down.
I just want you guys to know, this is my plan for tonight. Okay. I will create the thumbnail and schedule it at around 7. Okay. So what I'll do is I will tentatively schedule it for 9:30. Because I really, 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 really want to hear Jennifer's recap from Crime Curious, and she's going to have Chris on, and he's the attorney, and she's also going to have a former FBI agent on. I hope I said that right. I think that's right. And I don't want to miss that. I have 11 billion questions for Chris, but fortunately, because Crime Curious has been so cool, she's been writing them down, I think. And so I hopefully, because there's some really interesting legal conundrums that have happened the last few days, and I'm very interested in those. But anyway, if you will, if you're interested in, and if you're interested in me and Allie's live later, be looking out for 7 Eastern, and then just turn the notification on, because that way, if I have to move it and go a little later, it'll just automatically update you. As long as you have the notification for that live on, not just not just a notification for the channel.
It has to be for that live. Melissa, I'd like to watch Crime Curious too. And you guys, I have to fix the link in the Nightbot, but I dropped her link. It goes to, because I was live when I programmed it, and the same thing with Punksies. It goes to a specific live instead of the channel. So just go through and look at all those videos. They're really interesting. She's had the attorney on every Thursday answering questions. No, Bendy, yours is at what time? 9, right? Is that what you said?
I was going to do 9:30 because Crime Curious is going at 8 Eastern.
How about
So
Melissa? That way we have
How
some
about what?
time. 5 to try that dual stream thing. Crime Curious is at 8 Eastern.
Right.
What time is Curious? And that's going to be very interesting. Then we're on Jenn's Lori Vallow. Now, are you going to get into the dates and all of that stuff? Because if you are,
Not yet. No, I want a whole separate thing for that. I've got I have something to do today at 5 Eastern, hopefully, to get some more information and a better understanding and explanation, because I'd really like to put this together as a one single show. That way, religion is one of those polarizing topics, and I want to be very careful, and I want to be very clear that I am not disparaging a particular religion, or any religion for that matter. I am trying to understand how Lori and Chad got to where they got. Where did they pull these belief systems from? Because they're not new belief systems, right? Like this isn't like Heaven's Gate, where Heaven's Gate their belief system was that they were going to be taken on the mothership and during Halley's Comet, okay? And they all basically Jim Jones themselves, right? But that's a new belief system. These are like energy readings and essentially what's tantamount to exorcism, etc. These are old belief systems. They came from somewhere, and I'm trying to figure out where they came from and what caused these two to get together in the first place. That's what I'm trying to figure out. So that's what I want to do. And I want it to be like a single episode, because I want people to understand what they're getting into before they click the stream, so that they can make an informed decision whether or not they want to listen. I'm trying to be considerate. 2023, new year, new me.
Hey, I love that. I appreciate that, because you don't want to offend anybody and stuff. And you
No,
want
I
to be
don't.
accurate. That about a creator. I appreciate a creator who does their due diligence, researching and bringing accurate information. That is so valuable, in my opinion, when you're watching somebody, because there's a lot of creators, and you can watch people for different things. You might like this channel for this channel for that, but I'm just saying I appreciate that about a person. I really do.
Yes.
Especially the people I watch. But what was I going to say? Jiu-jitsu. You were right. It looks like this lady worked with Tammy, though, because I was kind of looking as we're working through here.
Well, they are the ones.
She conducted.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay, so
that was nothing. It just said she can. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay, so Tammy's coworkers, after her death, they're the ones that sounded the alarm initially. They're the ones that went to law enforcement and said something is not right. That's how it started. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't either, but when I listened, when I listened to Heather Daybell, who is Chad Daybell's sister-in-law, she said that online and, social media, etc., she was being blamed as if she were the whistleblower. But the truth is that it was actually Tammy's coworkers, that there was something occurred in the days before Tammy actually was murdered, I should say, because she didn't just die, she was murdered. That there was some incident that did not sit well with them at the time, and then subsequently when she was murdered, something clicked and they went to the authorities, and that is who started it, because I guess Chad Daybell's kids messaged somebody or I think they actually might have maybe even messaged Heather herself, like text her and asked her to stop this investigation into their mother's death. At the time, it was into their mother's death. Now, obviously, a murder. Yeah. So I found that to be very interesting. Mm-hmm.
Me too. Okay, I'm going to read what they said in court in just a sec, but I want to let Jen, I want you to see these. So not even here says Jen Luke. L Mom on YouTube talks all about this aspect of the Vallow Daybell case. She's a former member of the LDS Church. I am also, so I can tell you her info is legit so it's called the L Mom. And then 22 Tantrum.
Thank you so much.
Says that she wrote her dissertation on personality, religion, and spirituality. So if she can help you, if you need some and Tess,
thank you very much, because there is a specific book that I am looking for that it seems is related to a letter that it seems is what is something that Chad stumbled onto as well. And it seems, just from my early research, right, that this might have been the catalyst for Chad looking at that there was I don't know how to say this right. He felt like there was that the church was in apostasies, I think is how you say it, like that the Mormon church wasn't true anymore. And so but before I can understand that part of it, I have to understand what the book that's referenced in the letter is about.
Oh, God.
So that's what I'm trying to find.
I'm sorry, Jen. Your delay is a little shitty, and you paused, and I thought you were done. I was just going to tell you, Corky says that channel deleted all their videos, so maybe you can't find it. Still try. I'll still try. Rumor spreading around. I'm so sorry to hear that. My daughter has no headstone on her grave, and it tortures me. I will take care of it next week. Shit keeps happening. I had a ticket pop up in Arizona. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Let me see what they said in court. So Tammy made a change to her life insurance plan in September. Rawlings shows an insurance form on the big screen. This is a change form to her voluntary life insurance. September 2019. Ugh. Tammy was hired by the school district in 2017. She elected the minimum amount of $10,000 life insurance. She made no changes in 2018, but in 2019, Tammy requested an increase and signed the form. Chad also signed it because she elected spouse coverage. The form was signed and dated September 8th, 2019, the day before Tylee was buried. The life insurance increase went into effect September 1st. Once the change went into effect, Tammy elected the maximum amount, which was 5 times her salary, and then added an additional option. Total amount was now $130. Chad returned on October 25th, but he was told to come back October 30th. Yancey explained a life claim could not be submitted until they had a death certificate. Chad responded, "That's okay. I've already ordered 8 of them."
8?
Yancey had never heard of someone ordering 8. Yes. Let me see. What the fuck?
That's crazy. The book that I'm talking about is the Book of Abraham that was translated. That's what I'm looking for. So, I mean, I can find it, but I'm interested in what the book actually says, but I'm also interested in how, when you read it, how people might feel or perceive it, because we all know that we can all read the same exact article, and the words don't change between the reader, but the perception changes and the meaning changes from reader to reader. So that's kind of what I'm trying to piece together right now.
Oh yeah.
So
that's so fascinating to me anyways, that whole, perception, because perception is reality, right? That's your reality, but perception is based on the individual, which is it's just a fascinating concept to me, because things can appear, so differently to each person.
And I'm fascinated by how they were able to lure other people into believing this. And so, and it appears that the majority of the people that they lured into their new belief system come from the LDS Church. And so that's why I'm curious. That's why I want to look into the Mormon roots, because it seems that I know that they twisted it. I know that they warped it. But what it doesn't seem like they told their followers individually different things. they told their followers all pretty much the same thing. Now they may have made like Alex was a warrior in a former life, and the girl that we just heard testimony from was told by Chad that she was Jesus's wife in a former probation, and that part of it, as who they were in a former probation, that changed from person to person, but the core of what was happening and going to happen, right, was the same to everybody. So I find that to be fascinating as well. It's all interesting to me in a very sad way.
It is. Okay, I'm going to read for just a second just to get us find out about this form. Oh shit, I lost it again. Hold on, I'm sorry. Voluntary life insurance. Chad visited Yancey the Monday morning after Tammy died 2 days previous. Over her career, Yancey has helped employee families about 15 times with life insurance. In her experience, it was unusual for Chad to come that soon to claim the life insurance. Yancey explained that life claim could not be submitted until they had a death certificate. Chad responded, "That's okay, I've already ordered 8." Chad returned on October 25th. He was told to come back October 30th. He returned October 30th with a beneficiary statement. Yancey completed a form, attached the death certificate, and all the information was sent to the life insurance policy. Again, the total amount paid for the claim was $130,000. The maximum amount that could be requested was $130,000. Rawlings has no further questions, and now time for cross-examination. Now, John Thomas asked if Chad and Tammy came in together to fill out the beneficiary form before Tammy died. Yancey says not to her knowledge. Thomas goes over the history of Tammy's life insurance plan with the school district. Thomas, there is no making that look good, buddy. I'm sorry. I don't know what you're going to do.
I'm not
there.
exactly sure if she'd answered yes. See, it seems to me that depending on who the witness is, obviously, when the witness is somebody that knew Chad or Lori or Tammy, right, or was part of the new religion that Chad was trying to form. The questions from the defense seem to be along the lines of, it's Chad's fault, basically. Chad is a big lying liar mouth who tells lies, and he convinced everybody to believe in him, and Chad is the problem. That seems to be what their strategy is. But when it comes to something like this, the only way that would have been beneficial is if Chad had been there, and she wasn't. I have a feeling, though, they're going to continue that, that's their strategy. They're not going to get over that hair, though. That hair is
the thing.
Not.
Okay, before the trial, the state said, we don't want to do this twice because it's the same witnesses, the same stuff. It's all the same. But
right.
So does that mean every witness, like all of that? That's what I'm curious about. Like, yeah. Does that mean all of them will be the same? Do you think? Like even the lady that Lori threatened, that doesn't really involve Chad.
Well, no, but she did meet Chad, and she was there for a casting or two. It's particularly a casting that was done. Chad is who connected Lori and her friend. She was at a conference that Chad was also at, and Chad introduced her to Lori because the after party from the conference, as it were, was being hosted at Lori's house, Lori and Charles's house, by the way. And so then he encouraged her to become friends with Lori. So yes, likely some of the questions may be different. Like I think if they'd have tried them together, the direct examination would have been longer, because I think they would have asked more questions as it pertains to Chad. But since he's not on trial with her, but yes, I think the majority of the witnesses will be the same.
Interesting. Well, at least we'll get to see it. I'll watch it again just to see it. But next they're calling Detective Colin Nesbitt. I'm going to end it, I guess, Jen, but I was thinking maybe I will read to you guys that right before that statement that Ian did, because I read it on your channel, but maybe some people hadn't heard it. And since he testified today, let me see if I can get him. And if you want to stay and give your thought, because that's a very interesting statement, and it's long, a little bit long.
I'm not just going to abandon you up on the panel. That would be rude. Of course, I want to hear what you have to say. And if you tell me something, I always have thoughts. So here we go. Let's see how it goes.
Let's go. Yeah, because it's
May
very
the force be with everybody.
Well, whenever this morning I'm sitting there and I'm watching stuff about the case and listening to Nadine last night. That's how I knew where that time step was for her recording. And I'm like, dude, Ian's on the stand now. Melanie may take the stand. We need to live tweet this. And I'm like, Jen, I'll message you really quick. And then just start. It was kind of out of nowhere, but
yeah.
I'm glad we did it though, because I like to do the live tweets, and yeah, it's fun to just, all right. This is, you guys that hadn't heard this before. So Ian, Melanie, Melanie Palowski, Melanie Boudreau, and then Palowski after, got with this guy Ian, who she married actually when Alex and Zulema got married in Vegas. They all were partnering up together. Ian was basically a prospect for their cult, and he got in and he basically saw a lot of red flags and decided he doesn't want to be part of the cult. So this is his statement. He started recording them secretly and stuff like that. And this is his statement about that. So he says, when Melanie began sharing all these things with me, I tried to keep an open mind. I'd only met her 4 days previous, but felt very comfortable around her. I believe there is more to the gospel than what I've seen so far, but I never thought it would sound like this. The ideas seemed harmless at first, and she sounded pretty certain of some of them. She talked about how she'd learned some of these things in the temple and other things from Chad and Lori. Upon first meeting Chad and Lori, I didn't get a bad impression of them, but they did seem different. I didn't think anything of that, as I feel like that's a fairly normal feeling to experience. I didn't give them much thought, as they were planning on taking off and that I'd be taking the reins concerning care of Melanie. They said they'd be going to Hawaii and invited me to come visit sometime. Later, Melanie explained porting and that they could travel there by that method. The first time hearing all of these new beliefs was a jolt. I was looking for someone spiritual, but this was a leap beyond that into concerning territory. I had fears and doubts, but I trusted Melanie and wanted to give it a fair chance. So I continued to listen and ask questions in hopes it would click for me. It never did. There were fun and exciting ideas, but it felt like many of them were ripped straight out of a Dungeons and Dragons manual. Between the stats, accounts of dark and light weapons, and words spoken in blessings, it sounded like someone had created a tabletop RPG based on the Bible. While living something like that appealed to me, I couldn't find anything to confirm it as I prayed and asked. I figured anyone called to something like this would struggle, but how else would they be made aware of things like this? I continued to try to keep an open mind and proceed with caution. Hold on, I'm going to pull up my little chart while I finish this. That way, that it describes, This is old, though. I did this like 2 years ago.
We did this together. I remember we talked about this like recently. Remember?
And I do. Actually, I remember us talking about this back when I first did it, because we decided we were going to work together on the case.
Oh, that's right.
It's because I remember the first time we talked about it was over a year ago, at least. It's been a long time. And I remembered when I did this live, you're like, oh, I can't wait. You came in the chat on one of them and we're like, I can't wait for this. We should do it. And I might have said we should do it together. And you're like, we'll be trial buddies. And then we damn sure did. But
and thus began our friendship.
Yeah. I love it. I love it.
Thanks, Lori and Chad, you jerks. I mean, I'm glad that I have Allie out of it, but you guys are a whole other can of worms for real. All right. Anyway.
Okay. Role-playing game. That appealed to me, he said, which, okay, buddy.
Dungeons and Dragons is fun.
I never played it, but
you're too young.
Okay. Melanie began to share that she feared the lives of her 2 children based on a dream she'd had where they came to her. The They brought her tidings of great joy. Her daughter thanked her for allowing her the freedom to use her agency until the end. This concerned me and made my heart ache for her. I felt there was no way anything could have happened without me finding out. We married faster than any sane couple would, but we both felt it was right. On our wedding night, she began to elaborate on the ideas she shared earlier about her children coming to her. She explained zombies and her fears about what Chad and Lori had stated concerning original spirits being caught in limbo until the body's death. She stated that Brandon was possessed by a demon or another dark entity sometime after June. She was told either through revelation and by Chad or by Chad or he has a couple typos, that something would happen to him, that something needed to happen to him in order for his spirit to progress and for the Lord's plan to continue. She didn't take well to the idea of her husband dying as part of the Lord's plan, but didn't think action would be taken by anyone. She still loves Brandon and would never wish any ill on him. Do you believe that, Jen?
I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about that one.
I don't know if I do either. Okay, so Melanie apparently, loved Brandon, didn't want anything to happen to him, was very scared and worried by Chad's and Lori's ideas. She said, this is where things started becoming concerning to me. She shared the idea that Chad and Lori would have directed Al to take a shot at Brandon. Could have directed Al to take a shot at Brandon. It wasn't anything she was sure about. The concern began when she was called into Gilbert PD and asked about Chad, Lori, and Alex after the attempt on Brandon's life. She was later given the impression that the bullet needed to move 5 more inches so as not to hit Brandon. Initially, to me, it sounded like this was told to her by Chad. The discussion moved to Chad and Lori's missing kids. At the time, JJ was counted as missing, and the Rexburg PD had conducted raids on Melanie's apartment along with Al's. Melanie had been told by Chad and Lori that her children had been possessed and had become zombies. She shared concerns that she's been told Brandon needed to die, and that may indicate that Tylee and JJ needed to die as well. She told me she was worried that Alex may have had to take care of the kids. She explained that Al had great faith and never wavered in his trust for the Lord. No task would be too difficult or great for him. When I asked for clarification, she restated her original concern, verbatim. At that point, I became severely worried, but I told myself there's just no way. My ex-wife, Natalie, had been asking for Melanie's name so she can check her out on social media and get an idea of who she is. Melanie had been adamant that I not share her full name with anyone for fear that Brandon may locate and harass her. I couldn't justify that and eventually gave Natalie her name. On Tuesday, December 2nd, I got a call from my mother. She'd just gotten off the phone with Natalie. When we divorced, Natalie made a point to cut herself off from my family and hadn't spoken to them for at least 8 months. She made as little contact as possible, but hadn't been unkind. My mother told me she received a video call from Natalie. Natalie was terrified. She managed to reach Brandon through his business and heard his side of things. She'd been told Melanie was in a cult and that she tried to have him killed. While I still don't believe she had anything to do with his attempted murder, I was terrified at the possibility. The next morning on the way to work, Natalie called and we were discussing how to handle this in order to keep our kids safe. She told me she'd be going in to meet with the police. I told her I'd go along and lay everything out I understand. I saw 2 possibilities. The first was Melanie isn't who I thought she was, and I keep myself and my family out of the second was Melanie has been taken advantage of and I'm going to get her out of a messy situation. Sorry. When meeting the police, I intended to share things I understood. Detectives Hope and Hermosillo were present along with the FBI. He shared all of his concern. What I shared with the police were the ideas that Chad, Lori, and Alex may have planned something like shooting at Brandon, and that Tylee and JJ may be in serious danger if Melanie's fears have any validity. If shooting on Brandon was indeed based on the idea that he was no longer actually Brandon and needed to die as part of the Lord's plans, the kids' lives could be forfeit based on the idea that they're not really Tylee and JJ anymore. I'll skip just a little bit. He talks about Alan Zulema staying in Vegas and preparing earthquakes at the time I spoke with the police. Zulema believed that she could control the weather. Then
So
he
she
met
thought
with
she
them
was an
again.
X-Men. She thought she was
Yeah,
Storm from X-Men. Okay. All right.
So the police gave him a thumb drive and he was going to record, any interactions with Chad and Lori. He'd turn on the recorder and let it run till they hang up. I don't feel that anything substantial was recorded, as Chad and Lori never talked about the kids or their location. Most of the conversations consisted of everyone commiserating about the current circumstances, discussing religious ideas, and just catching up. In addition to the recordings, I talked with Ricky, and he'd let me know about things that may come up in conversation. These tips turned into Tammy's body being exhumed and Al's passing. So why would they not want to play these recordings today? Because the prosecution fought it like 3 times. The defense kept trying to play him like several times. They were like, okay, well, we can refresh your memory with the recording. And the prosecution didn't want them to. I don't understand that.
I don't know. I have to. The only thing I can surmise is that they felt that it might be problematic, should an appeal arise. Should she be convicted and decide? Because rest assured, if Lori is convicted, I do believe she will appeal. But I think I otherwise I can't understand it. But also, I think when you asked me that question before about Melanie. If Melanie said it, I would have to analyze that, and maybe it might change my mind. Okay, but based on how he started this statement, which is essentially that he's looking out for Melanie, to me, I feel like that's the kind of place he's coming from, and so therefore he can't possibly be objective, and so I think that. I don't know if she actually said that to him or not. It just seems to me like he's doing a lot of work to keep Melanie from being on the hook for some stuff.
I do too.
Is how I feel.
I will post this so you guys can read through it all instead of reading the rest, because just a little bit left though. Basically that he did end up telling Melanie what he was doing. He says, I'm going to read a direct quote. Melanie has been put through the ringer because of their paranoia, and now she's in the hot seat because I went to police and tried to help. I know she's done nothing wrong, and I want her free from this. I will no longer cooperate with the police or the FBI, except for through my lawyer. He said the final straw was Ricky called and threatened Melanie that she would be charged as an accomplice. I don't know. He says a 20-year-old veteran throwing a hissy fit after one shaky interview tells me all I need to know about how they want to handle this. She didn't trust authorities before because of how poorly the AF treated her when she went to pick up her kids with the court order in hand. That's the end of it. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. So tonight, what are we going to listen to and go through? I'm excited.
Well, I was thinking about that, and I would like for us, there is testimony from Ian, and I want to hear that. I want to put on the DNA expert who testified, because I want you guys to understand what exactly that hair means, where it was found, how it came to be. And then I'm not sure what else. That's all I have for right now, because there's a lot to talk about just around that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there is. There definitely is. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to drop Jenn's link again, and I put it in the description. I said something about it and tried to tag you. I just said, like, today we're going through live tweets tonight because Melanie and Ian, but tonight we'll be over on Jenn's going through all things Lori Vallow.
Yeah, and I don't like to plan too much content, only because once you play some content will spark another thing. Do you know what I mean? And I like to be flexible and be able to just go with the flow, because I'm always interested in what you have to say and what you think about certain people's testimony or evidence presented, and also the chat. The chat is really great at
they're insightful.
making suggestions or coming up with a perspective that I hadn't considered, and then I have to think about that, which will make me think about something. You know how it goes. I mean, you're familiar
Hey.
with my brand.
We're getting body cam footage of Chad and Lori on the beach in Hawaii. Basically, or look, okay, so that, right now the police officer from Hawaii is on the stand, and he says, "Wait, let's see. He's works with Kauai Police Department." He says they all flew over to Hawaii to whatever their investigation was in the matter. They asked for assistance. I don't know what he's talking about there. I guess the Idaho police coming down. But he says police located Lori at a condo in Princeville. She was in the pool area with Chad. Nesbitt went with another detective and lieutenant to serve the papers to Lori. They gave her a copy of the papers, and officers asked if she had any questions. The interaction was recorded and given to Rexburg police. Smith asked to admit a thumb drive with the recording he had with Lori. He will now play the body cam. The video shows Chad and Lori lying on chairs by the pool. They are both in swimming suits. The officer hands Lori the paperwork and says, "Do you have any questions regarding that?" Chad sits up and leans over. Lori says she doesn't have any questions, and the officers leave. In the courtroom, Lori stared intently at the monitor on their table as the video was played. The paperwork was served January 25th. Wow. And then they initiated a traffic stop. Lori was driving. Officers gave her the search warrant and allowed her to take items she might need from the car. She says they looked through her purse and saw Tylee's credit card. I think this is where they found Tylee's phone with Lori. Personal note, as the search warrant is being executed, I was standing off to the side wondering if I could get a chance to talk with Chad and Lori. I'm going to click on that and we'll end with that.
Yeah, because that's the one he says, "Where's your kids?"
Lori.
Yes, that's my favorite. Get her, Nate.
Yeah, get her, Nate. I can't believe that he's so devoutly Mormon, that he's been, on missions and stuff. And the church, damn, I got to go find that statement from you. Krisha put out, the church sent letters to everyone basically saying, remind you guys need to talk with us before you do any, your church duties come first, basically.
Yes.
That's crazy. Okay, here we go. Last from the.
I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com in Kauai, where Chad and Lori Daybell were served with 2 search warrants just hours ago. Law enforcement officers from eastern Idaho, along with federal agents and the Kauai Police Department, pulled Lori and Chad over. They were driving a black SUV. They pulled into this resort where I am standing. They put Chad into one vehicle, Lori into another. That's when their vehicle was seized and they had no way to get home. We had a chance to ask them so many questions that need answers. Lori, Nate Eaton with East Idaho News. Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids? No comment. No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Where are your children? Yeah, why don't you just give us a comment? Just tell us where they are. Chad, where are Lori's kids? What happened to Tammy, Chad? Can you tell us what happened to Tammy? Why have you guys been in Hawaii for so long? Listen, just tell people what's happening. There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What? You have nothing to say? Did you do something to your children? Are your children still alive? That's a simple question. I've got 3 kids of my own. I can tell you every minute where my kids are at. Where are your children?
Go, Nate.
What do you guys plan to do now? Are you you have 5 days to get your children in front of a judge in Rexburg? Then what?
The anger.
Are you guys innocent of any crimes? Have you committed any crimes? Chad, you guys have a lot to say on your podcast. You don't have anything to say now? Lori?
Damn.
Do you believe that you were instructed by God or others to do something for your children? If you could give a message to them, what would you say? Listen, if you just talk to us, we'll leave you alone.
Family's worried. Tammy's family's very worried.
Tammy's family's very worried. Lori, your mother, Kay, came out. Kay and Larry, they're offering a $20,000 reward for your children. and you're over here on the beach? This is your chance to tell your story. Nothing you want to say? One last chance right here. Anything you want to say to the people in Idaho?
Oh my God.
Lori, you have a lot of cash there in your baggie. Were you guys planning to leave Hawaii?
Damn, Nate.
Were you planning to take off?
Get him, Nate.
And with that,
That
Chad
was
and Lori
savage.
darted into this resort, and they still have not come out. Now, police have not said what they are searching for in that
Damn, Nate, I
SUV
appreciate
or in
that.
their home.
I like that. He did a great job. Oh my God, Jen. I'm so glad we watched that.
Fantastic.
Wow.
Especially now that we've had other audio that's come out, and like the recorded phone call, or the video chat between Colby and Lori, and between Lori and her sister, and her flippant attitude. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Oh my God. That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Or whatever
That's
she says.
great.
Oh,
Thanks for, what a
he
piece of
calls out
crap.
the money. Oh my God.
I love
can't
that he
believe
called out
that.
the money.
Oh, wow. That's funny. That's Pulitzer material right there. He absorbs so much information and is able to put it out so eloquently. Yes, agree. He does an excellent job. Lori,
does.
got your cash. Where are your kids? How did he hear about So I guess, yeah, Kay and Larry, they went out, like he said, they were out there immediately. I knew that Kay had raised an alarm. I didn't know until Jenn told us today about Tammy's, employees and stuff. So I think multiple people were kind of raising red flags. Wow. All right, Jenn. Well, I guess we'll wrap it up. I'm so glad you came up, and because we still have some stuff to do later.
Yes.
My computer's about to cut off.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. You guys, please subscribe to Jenn if you haven't yet. We'll be on her channel tonight talking about Lori Vallow. Remember, there's a dual stream at 5. We're going to try that out. And then Crime Curious at 8. And then Jenn's at 9:30.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's just going to be a great day for true crime.
Yes.
I mean, if you want to know all the things, that we're going to tell you a lot of the things. I don't know if we'll get to all of them, but we will tell you a lot.
Exactly. All right.
A great and kind of sad day, because obviously I would be remiss if I didn't, what happened to these children is all tragic and it's all sad and unnecessary, right? But if you've been busy and you haven't been able to keep up with the trials, we're going to all between the 3 channels, you will definitely be caught up.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm just blessed to be able to work with all of you guys. Lori, the video, all the information throughout was stuff really pretty much from court today. But the video at the end, if that's what you're talking about, that is old. That is from before Lori was ever arrested. And she's been locked up for over 3 years. So
yes.
All right, Jenn. Thank you so much. Thank you
All
guys.
right, babe.
And I'll see you guys a little later.
All right. Bye.
Bye.